It's 2025 and Democrats are still making the tactical decision to put their focus on Trump. That's actually the headline from a New York Times review of this year's political commercials that found that voters are inundated with ads linking Republican candidates to the president, and Democrats largely coalescing around the same message that's united them for the past decades: stopping Donald Trump.
100% MAGA. That's what Donald Trump calls Jack Ciattarelli, because Ciattarelli wants to be the Trump of Trenton.
I support the president wholeheartedly, and my job is to help him.
MAGA Republican Winsome Earle-Sears. Sears speaks for Trump.
I'm supporting what the president is doing.
We can't sit by while they steal congressional seats, rig the next election, and silence our voices. With Prop 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, we can stop Trump cold.
Joining us now with his reporting, Shane Goldmacher, national political correspondent for the New York Times. Amanda Litman is here as well. She is co-founder and president of Run for Something. It's great to have you. I said you're my power panel. Some Democratic strategists you spoke with expressed concerns that with so much focus on Trump, the party is not coming up with a more forward-looking message. Tell us a little bit about those worries.
Yeah, the concern isn't that the party's necessarily making a short-term mistake with these ads. The races that you just saw those ads in, there are states that voted against Donald Trump last year: New Jersey, Virginia, where there are governor's races, California, where there's this big redistricting fight. The question is, by focusing on Trump so heavily, is the party missing a chance to sort of carve out its own message, right? We know that Donald Trump is not popular, but the Democratic Party is not popular either. And so there's a real space here. Can Democrats come up with a proactive message that sells voters on Democrats and on their policies, and not just opposing Trump and opposing Trump-aligned Republicans? There are other questions, too, right? These are governor's races. Is this the kind of contest that a voter's going to go in and say, hey, I really want to check Donald Trump by having a Democrat in Trenton? They may say, hey, I actually want a Republican in Trenton because I'm tired of the direction of the state under a Democratic governor. So there are distinctive challenges of state-level races here. And a real question, when are Democrats going to start forming a proactive message of their own?
Well, I saw you nodding, Amanda. And for folks who don't know, and if they've watched my program for a while, they do know, because I've been following Run for Something from the very beginning. But you actually help people learn how to message. You talk a lot. I've gone to the training sessions and watched how very focused you are on helping people get their message across to their community. Does this anti-Trump messaging risk drowning out the positive things that some of these candidates want to do?
I think for congressional candidates in particular, it makes a lot of sense because, as Shane said, they are running really to be a check on Trump. I think that's one of the reasons why you've seen these local candidates, people running for mayor, for city council, for school board, really be able to break through. We see it here in New York with Zohran Mamdani, Mossab Ali, who's running for mayor of Jersey City, and a number of others who can really put specifics to what they're imagining for their community. It's not just about stopping Trump. It's about how voters are going to feel when they win and how it's going to affect their day-to-day life.
Your group, which recruits and supports young progressive candidates, is just announcing $50 million over the next 5 years for supporting a lot of these down-ballot recruiting, training, electing a new generation of leaders, particularly in a dozen states across the South. That's where my ears really perked up. How do you do that?
Well, we announced our Battle Up plan, which includes states like Louisiana, Mississippi, but also Idaho, Utah,
These
Nebraska.
are not big progressive states.
Not big progressive states, but states including Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, and others where we need to be investing now so that come 2032, post-census, post-redistricting, Democrats have lots of paths to victory. Because the Democrats' insistence on constantly spending, in some cases literally billions of dollars, on Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, while really, really important, have left us with huge swaths of the country where most people have never met a Democrat running for office before. They've never heard someone making the proactive case for why they should be voting for the Democratic Party. And there isn't a talent of folks who can run for higher office. Post-redistricting, the experts say there's likely to be an additional House seat in Idaho, for example. It is likely going to be around Boise. There is right now not a ton of Democratic talent who could run for this House seat in Boise. So what Run for Something is hoping to do is recruit and support young leaders, both Democrats and in some places independents, who can run for and win these places to give us lots of paths to victory in the future.
So in a way, you're both talking about the same thing, which is the long game, right? And when I've heard some Democratic complaints, that complaint has been we don't always play that game. But what's the real strategy, and do they have money to put behind it?
I mean, I think this is the link between these two things, which is there's a concern about the upper limit of the effectiveness of running against Donald Trump, right? It can work in New Jersey. It can work in Virginia. But will it work in Louisiana? Will it work in Nebraska? Probably not. The party needs to find a way to win over those Trump voters by selling them something new and not just selling them opposition to a president.
So what's that sale?
I mean, this is what they're looking for, right? I mean, they haven't found it yet. I think that there's little pieces.
Because she's right. If you're running for Congress,
yeah.
Look, I'm not saying you can't talk about some money that you brought in to rebuild a bridge that was falling down, but ultimately there's a different calculation, right?
Look, the Democratic Party's brand, which is a lot of what I focused my reporting on this year, the party's not going to change its brand in the next year or two, right? That's going to change with the next presidential nominee. So a lot of this is sort of a skirmish ahead of the big fight, which is the next presidential primary. And right now, the races for Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, can moderate women with national security credentials show that they can win in some of these states? And Zohran Mamdani also on the ballot this year. Can you find a progressive voice that really inspires people, right? These are different parts of the party fighting in different parts of the country to say, we are, in fact, the future of the Democratic Party, and we don't know what that direction is going to be yet.
The other question I had when I read about what you guys were doing, Amanda, was South, great. And I've covered stories about small groups who have tried to start a Democratic footprint in places where it had never been before. But the blue wall states, which Democrats invested in very heavily in the presidential, didn't exactly get a lot of return for their buck, did they? So what about those blue wall states?
Also really important, but there's really strong Democratic infrastructure in these places. Like the Wisconsin Democratic Party is one of the strongest in the country. Michigan, for example, we have the governors, the Senate seats. We have a really strong state legislature. Pennsylvania as well. It's not to say we're not going to keep working in those places and every other state in the country, but in most of the places we've named for our Battle Up strategy, there's no one doing candidate recruitment. There's no one doing this work, and if we're going to ever eventually win these places, we need to start now.
I remember one time when I was in Utah and the Hillary Clinton campaign had sent a representative in there, and they honestly didn't know what to do.
I would like that to never happen again. We should always know what to do in every room we're in.
Great reporting, as always, by Shane Goldmacher. Amanda Litman, stay in touch. Interesting stuff you guys are doing, as always. Thank you both.